Hi guys, welcome back to the Bluestone Villa. I hope you're all doing really well. As promised, today's video is a mini renovation update and tour. So I usually do these by way of kind of a renovation diary monthly, which shows our kind of DIY renovation progress in this Victorian house across the whole month. But I didn't film anything in October or the first half of November. And we actually have done quite a bit across that period of time. There's been a number of changes, some quite transformative, really lovely, significant changes as well. So I wanted to make sure that I shared those with you properly before we dive into another renovation diary in December that will really only document kind of the second half of November, which also had some very exciting changes that you might get a bit of a glimpse of today, because I was meant to film this before last weekend and I have not. But yeah, so I'm going to take you from the first floor right up to the third floor and show you all the different changes that we've made across the last kind of 4 to 6 weeks. I'm also going to be sharing our mood boards for our middle landing and our bedroom, because I feel like you've seen that kind of step-by-step process of us taking those spaces apart, and it's obviously been quite a long process and you've got absolutely no idea of what the kind of end goal is. So I thought that was a really good opportunity to share that as well. So I'll kind of talk about the interiors and the overall look and vibe I'm going for those spaces. And finally, I'm also going to reveal kind of our next project, which apparently we are starting before Christmas, which was totally not the deal that James and I made in the summer. Yeah, James and I basically made the deal back in August that we would finish any work on the house on December 10th. And if it meant that we were starting a project and it would be kind of halfway through by December 10th, then we wouldn't start that project. Because last year we had such a mass drive to get the downstairs in to create kind of a decent and nice space for us hosting Christmas last year that we were working kind of practically up to Christmas Eve, and it just meant that we just didn't get to enjoy the festivities as much. It was a bit stressful and just some of the sparkle about Christmas was gone. And I think this year we all need a little bit of sparkle, don't we? So yeah, we kind of had agreed that we wouldn't do any work beyond December 10th, but it sounds like James is planning to break our agreement, because we do apparently plan to start a new room in like the next few days, and I just can't see it being finished by December 10th. So yeah, wish me luck. So this is probably one of the most exciting changes downstairs, this gorgeous ceiling rose that we've had put in. We bought this from a local mouldings guy in Tunbridge Wells. The business is called Wells, and he made this and also fitted it. This looks the most amazing at the moment because we've got our actual final light in here. So I just think the brass with it looks perfection. I'm so happy with it, and I think it really adds something into this hallway. I do still need to paint the ceiling rose, but you can't really tell that at the moment, I don't think, because everything's white anyway. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I just think it looks beautiful, and it just kind of makes a bit more of a statement when you come in. And as you can see, we've had one fitted up here as well. So when we moved in, there was a ceiling rose there, but it was really small. It was kind of half hanging off the ceiling, and it looked kind of modern in the respects that it looked a bit cheap. And our plasterer said that he also didn't think it was original. So we had Wells come and create this beautiful ceiling rose. We're not doing it full justice at the moment because you can't see that there's a lovely flower in the center, and I think the plastic light fitting doesn't make it look its best in comparison to the one out in the hallway. But we are planning to have a different light in here, some kind of chandelier of some kind, so that will be kind of rectified in that moment. We also had this fixed, so this corner of the cornice was really badly damaged. It was actually just a rubbish old piece of wood that somebody had shoved up there in place and then just shoved a load of paint and plaster on the top to try and make it look like it. But I mean, it was embarrassing. It wasn't anything like it should be. I'll try and insert a clip of what that was like before, but Justin came here and he basically just did it as they would have done back in the Victorian time. So it was really cool, really pleased with it, and yeah, it just looks amazing. Now again, need to paint the ceiling rose and this, but you kind of can't really tell too much at this point. Moving into the dining room, we've also had just a few, well actually one small change and one larger change that I'm just going to share with you, which isn't really a DIY thing, more just kind kind of a decor thing, but we've had this trim or beading, I don't know what's best to call it, put around the bottom of our skirting board. Basically, the bottoms of the skirting boards just didn't really look that great. Just, you know, they've been bashed by furniture, they've been scuffed, you know, not from us, I just mean over the 140 years of this house's lifetime. And so it just didn't really have a particularly finished look to it. But ultimately also, Victorian House is a drafty. And there was always a gap between our floorboards and where the skirting boards sat. And in some cases, the gap was quite significant. And so just the amount of draft that it was letting in, because we've just got kind of a crawl space underneath our house. It's not like cement and then the floorboards are on cement, or I don't know how houses are built, so that's just like my random description there, but there's actually like a crawl space underneath, and so, which I was really surprised by. I didn't realise that would be the case, but yeah, anyway, it obviously means that air gets in, and that's how the house breathes as well. But yeah, some of the gaps between the skirting board and the floorboards were quite significant, I guess probably from like movement across, you know, the house settling when it was first built and what have you. And in some places, in the lounge, the hallway and the dining room, the gaps, as I said, were kind of larger than in other areas of the rooms. So yeah, James has just put that trim all around the downstairs. I still need to paint it, running theme here, but it's kind of in, and I just already think it looks so much better. And the other change in here is this beautiful dining room table, which we actually got quite some time ago now. I think it was in August, mid-August. I think I was planning to show it to you in another video and it didn't happen. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you this. We just had a table made out of MDF before, which James made. But yeah, so this was from Maison du Monde, this table. We're really, really pleased with it. It's a round table, but it is extendable. The only thing that I would say was I hadn't realised the extendable piece wouldn't sit underneath the table. Yeah, I guess I just thought it would. That's kind of my understanding of what extendable tables are typically like, and this one it doesn't. We've just actually put it behind one of our sofas in the living room, but otherwise if we weren't able to do that, we'd be a bit stuck for space because there's not really anywhere else to put it, not at the moment anyway. So yeah, that's the only thing that I would say that I didn't feel was quite clear, but it doesn't matter. It's reclaimed pine and birch. The birch is the bottom piece, which is kind of, it's kind of got these black legs, and that's the bottom piece. So obviously this is why the extendable piece can't sit underneath here, because obviously it's got this thing in the middle. But it's beautiful. I thought it worked really nicely in this room. I kind of thought I'd have to convince James, but James actually loved it just as me when he saw it. It seats 6 to 8 people, obviously 8 people when it's fully extended. And yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's lovely. The other thing I would say is I've noticed it feels like it stains quite easily. I mean, obviously it's meant to be a bit weathered, as you can see here, because it's reclaimed pine, so it's meant to be a bit rustic, and I love a bit of rustic. James is usually the one that isn't that keen on rusticness, but I'm kind of okay with it. I do feel like, it picks up the odd oil stain and what have you, so that's been stressing me out slightly. I need to relax about that, basically, but I don't want to spend my life putting a tablecloth over this when we have people over, because I just think it's so lovely on its own. Dining room chairs, they're just the ones that we had previously, which is just some cheap IKEA options that we got last year because we didn't have a dining room table and chairs, and we just needed something quick and cheap for hosting Christmas. So James made an MDF table with like trestle legs and then just like drilled like bits of MDF together, which served us really well. And then we bought these IKEA chairs, which are black, so they go really well and they look really simple. And actually, when we had friends over for a barbecue in the summer, they thought that we were like having these chairs forever, and we were like, no. But yeah, it worked. They worked fine. They were about £10 to £12 from IKEA, I think, and we have 8 of them, with the view that they can kind of fold up the ones that we're not using and hopefully hang them somewhere that isn't just resting against the wall in the dining room, which is what they're doing right now. But yeah, they're not our forever chairs. We don't actually really know what we want as dining room chairs in here. So we don't really know what we want, but everything I'm looking at can be kind of a bit pricey. And I think we would want 6 decent chairs, with the view that we might have then like some of the flip chairs for like any additional people for like big events, Christmas and stuff. And yeah, so I haven't found them. Financially, not really a priority right now. I feel like I say that a lot in a lot of these videos, like, oh, that's not a financial priority right now. But I mean, we have to make them, right? And that just isn't it yet. Like, we can use these, that's fine. For Christmas this year, if we have people over, who knows? I might get some of those kind of white, they can be like rugs, or some people do use them as like throws over the chair. They're like a white kind of fluff kind of effect. I actually had one I had picked up as a rug for our top landing in my August favourites video. So if you've seen that, that's what I mean. And I might have some of those to hang over the backs of the chairs just to make them look a little bit smarter and kind of add a little bit of festiveness for Christmas. But I mean, that's TBC, because again, it kind of depends how much that would be, and also whether we even need it, because for all I know, it could just be James and I. What world do we live in, eh? So that's it for downstairs. So I'm going to take you up now to the middle floor to show you the changes that we've made since the last renovation diary, but before the next renovation diary. So in our bedroom, you're getting a sneak peek of some paneling, which actually will be featured in next renovation diary. So I'm not going to show you any more of that because I wasn't meant to feature this in this video. But we have plumbed in our cast iron radiator. So you will have seen in the last renovation diary, James was working on that. It looks amazing, I love it, and needs a bit of a clean from the looks of it, it's a bit dusty. With the brass fittings and the radiator, well, the radiator is the same as the living room radiator, and the brass fittings are the same as the living room and the dining room, but there's just something about it in this room. It just pops. I don't feel like it's really doing it justice on this camera right now because I think the sun's not quite right in here, but yeah, they just really pop, and they just look their best in here. We've also had our brass click deco sockets and switches fitted in here as well. Yeah, we've also had those fitted in here as well, so they look just brilliant against the white. So it just looks such a different room to what it was before. Again, I'll try and actually flip in maybe some pictures of the real before of this room to kind of give you a bit of a sense of the changes. And obviously, as I said, that's a bit of a sneak peek of the paneling that we actually worked on last weekend, which will be in next month's renovation diary. And then ta-da! We have another ceiling rose. This one we actually bought from Stevenson's of Norwich because our mouldings guy wasn't able to make this design in this size. So we bought this one. Stevenson's of Norwich were great. We're really happy with the quality. It's just hilarious though. Actually, ceiling roses don't cost that much, but if you're going to have them delivered, that's where the cost comes in. So it was about £50 to buy this, and then it was like another £50 to have it delivered. So kind of feels a bit mental, but anyway, if you can use like somebody to do them, we actually found that from a cost wise, our one was really kind of affordable, I would say. But yeah, those are kind of some of the major changes in this room. And then where I left you last, I hadn't actually painted the post and the spindles yet. Now these do need a final coat. We've got some other work going on the very top floor that we're waiting. Oh my God, can you see the dirty mark there? I need to clean these stairs. But yeah, we have some other work going on the top floor, which is part of the reason why they're that dirty. And yeah, that means that I'm just holding off on doing the last coat until then. But all of the woodwork now has been painted, and the ceilings and the walls on both landings. I've got a few bits and pieces to do, like touch-ups, like maybe an additional coat on a few things, and yeah, just snagging, of course. But this is kind of what it's looking like, as like a bright white. And this is a space that I'll actually share a bit of a mood board on in terms of how we're going to dress it. And then if we come up to the very top floor, we've had some big changes here. So we had a massive shelf here that James took out, and we also had all of our electrics on show. So we had an electrician come the other week, and we have now had all of that bedded into the roof, and also or kind of ceiling, and also into the wall. And then this week we've got a plasterer coming to kind of sort all of this out and do the ceilings as well. And we also moved this light from here to here because I really liked the idea of having it hanging more over the stairs so that you can have kind of a dramatic light there. So it kind of hangs over the stairs more so it might come down quite low. So this is our next project, which you might perhaps remember. It's one of the rooms on the top floor, which is, we use it mainly as an office, but it has a sofa bed in here as well. And so this is mainly James's little project because it's mainly him that uses this room at the moment. We've swatched lots of different blues here, but we're actually going with this one here, which is called Stone Blue, oddly enough. Not chosen intentionally, but it genuinely is the one that works nicest in this room and nicest with some of the furniture that we already have. So we're going to be keeping this sofa bed, and it's kind of this colour. It looks a bit darker actually on the camera than it does in real life, but yeah. So the ceilings are going to be white, and then that stone blue is going to be on all the walls, all of the woodwork, and we're also going to have it on the floor as well. So it's going to be quite a different style than what we've done previously, but we think it's going to look really cool. And then James has kind of like a copper legged table with a glass top, and so I think we're going to have some copper effects in here, although our light switches will stay as the brass ones that we have everywhere else. And then on this wall here, which is really cool, and yeah, just will be so impressed when James does it. So James has become really handy, as we all know, and he is going to actually be building a bookcase that goes all the way along this wall. So the kind of the door is then like embedded in the bookcase. So yeah, that's going to be really cool. So this is the project we're starting. The reason actually it's empty today, we're actually a few days on showing you this from the rest of the tour, but yeah, the reason I'm showing you this today is because actually we've cleared everything out. James would usually work in here at the moment, and we have a plasterer coming today, so the plasterer is going to come and board this ceiling and skim it and what have you, because look, it's kind of had like lining paper or wallpaper put on there, and these ridges here, all of our ceilings are the old original plaster, so they kind of eventually start to crumble a bit. So we're just going to seal those all up and resolve that, and we're doing the same out here, which I may have already said, but yeah, we're going to do the same out here. So he's working out here today. But yeah, this is the room, the before. We were just saying, it actually looks, we've got too much stuff in here at the moment, like so much stuff. Obviously not today, but in usual circumstances, because it's basically just where every bit of furniture that we had at the flat that we don't plan to use anywhere else yet has kind of come up here, and all of like, you know, all of our like books and stuff like that are up here usually. So it's become quite like, it's not a dumping ground, but there's just a lot of stuff in here. But oddly enough, with everything out, it feels a lot smaller than when everything is in here. Which is ridiculous because it is a really good sized room. Obviously you can see that we've swatched these colours literally the whole way around the room to get a really good feel. And then some furniture is going, so like this, we won't keep long term, we'll probably keep it for a little while, but it's not going to stay. This potentially won't stay either. James said he'll probably get something else. I'm trying to be a bit relaxed with this room and let James do what he wants, because he says that he doesn't get to make a lot of decisions about the rest of the house, which FYI is completely untrue. But I feel like if I give him this and he can't say anything to me about things I want to do in the room across the hall. Now I thought I'd quickly run through the mood boards with you. So this first one that you can see up on screen is for our middle landing. We're keeping this really quite cheap and cheerful. Everything is really cost effective in this space, because this is one of the spaces that we do foresee changing further down the line. We plan to have a stair runner up here rather than just the rug that you can see in this picture. Most things that you can see here, as I said, are really affordable. So we've got a H&M rug. a H&M vase, our Click Deco brass switches, which we have throughout, are really, I would actually say, cheap. And the light is from Industrial, and I think it's about £69. I absolutely love Industrial. I love industrial lights. And so this is kind of just the overall aesthetic I'm thinking for this middle landing. As promised, I also wanted to share just a couple of shots of some of the stair runners that we're really liking the idea of for much further down the line. These are both Roger Oates. I really love the midnight blue on one of these, but I equally love kind of the really bright, vibrant colours of the pinks and oranges in the other as well. And here's our bedroom mood board. I'm not 100% sold on the curtains, but that's just to give you a bit of an idea. I kind of want to use a warmer colour just because we're using kind of dark blues and lighter blues in other areas of the room. We are going to be installing Pax IKEA wardrobes and hopefully making them look a little bit more like their kind of bespoke built-in wardrobes. Obviously the cast iron radiator and the ceiling rose are already in place. We are thinking of a chandelier, but the only thing I'm a little bit uncertain of is whether actually that's a bit too glam in a way. We've got a lot of industrial lighting throughout the house, and I'm wondering whether I should kind of incorporate that somehow into this room a little bit more. The bed we have chosen, but we haven't ordered yet. It's from Love Your Home, and I am absolutely loving it. I just think it looks beautiful in the space on this mood board. Obviously, our Click Deco brass switches. Our bedside tables are vintage from Mrs. GD Interiors, and she paints those up. We have chosen to have those painted in railings, and I'm hoping that that's going to look awesome in there. And they've got kind of marble tops. And then I really love the idea of having old traditional Victorian oil lamps as our bedside table lamps. I've been looking on eBay at some that have been converted to electric. So I hope that's given you a bit of a sense of what we've been up to over the last 6 weeks, a bit more of a sense of where we're headed to next. And yeah, I can't wait to kind of share the next renovation diary so you can see our paneling changes, which are epic and actually a lot easier than we had anticipated. And yeah, I just look forward to seeing you on the next video.